What is up, traders, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down the SoFi day trade that printed profits for us this morning. The setup was absolute fire, the levels were clean, and if you've been watching our content, you know that we don't talk, we execute. So without further ado, let's break down this trade. If you want top tier trade setups before the market opens, make sure you join the Uplift Markets newsletter. It's 100% free and sent out every morning with exact entries, exits, key support and resistance levels, and any economic data that could move the markets. The link is in the description. Now, if we analyze here SoFi on a 5-minute overall interval, we see that the stock was pretty much heavily shorted yesterday. We saw that we were below the 50 EMA, below the 9 and below the VWAP, signaling, like I said, the buyers were not in control and the sellers had full control of the stock. But something that caught my eye here was that we had a very strong downward sell with intense volume here, and during this time the RSI reached a low, as you guys can see, right? During this time that we had this low, the RSI right here reached a pretty much oversold, signaling that we potentially could see some type of bounce pretty much the next day, which would be today, right? And that's exactly what we overall prompted. So our thesis of the trade was, if we pretty much broke below this area, then we would continue the short because the sellers would overall overwhelm the buyers. But if we now got above this overall high right here of 1788, which was a prior high and which would break down the overall structure of the downtrend, we would go long, and that's exactly what happened. We saw a bounce, right? The overall RSI was rising, and we were kind of, consolidating between here, right? Kind of, holding between the 50 EMA above that. And as soon as we broke and held above this overall high that overall reversed the trend, it was a long, right? And we saw that exact setup, and it was pretty much profitable, right? So it was nice to see that overall this momentum shift here instantiated the overall bounce and allowed us to reach the price targets almost towards here. Now you might be saying, how did you get this setup? Well, simply by going to the Uplift Markets newsletter. Here we had SoFi, right? We always give here the best top 3 setups that we're looking. So today we had Tesla on watch after increased overall. They had deliveries here increase, and the stock was looking pretty much overall starting to appreciate here, looking bullish. We had AMD with our bullish case and our bearish case here for the day, and we actually had our entry above, let's say, $136. So this break here was going to be the long 136.20 with targets at 137 and 139, and that's exactly where we found support. So this trade would have been profitable. But looking back towards SoFi here, we were looking really bullish, and as you guys know, I'm really bullish on the longer term here. So obviously I would be as well bullish on the intraday. We would see the bullish momentum after breaking all-time highs and seeing intense upward movement with heavy institutional backing ahead of their earnings date. Also, this can be factored in due to the fact that we're expecting rate cuts, and also we see a very high call volume compared to put volume, which signifies a lot of bullish outlook. As you can see, we had the setup here. So on the 5-minute, we gave our bullish case. We said an entry would be above the $1778 level, which was pretty much a prior high that we formed here. Pretty much right here, 1778 would be the long, and we would have our targets, our first target towards $18 and towards 1848, and it would be around this area. Unfortunately, we did not reach all that way, so we only were able to take profit on our first target, right? But even though the trade was still profitable and allowed us to continue, we also stated the bearish case, right? In case we had down momentum and pretty much more selling and the continuation, we said if it broke below the $1736 level, then we would target towards the areas of $17 and $16.70, which would be around these areas right here, pretty much signaling. And overall, right here, these prior areas here where there was intense support here, intense volume. So this trade was an absolutely amazing trade. It was profitable, and obviously because we translated that on towards a chart where we had that exact setup, we just translated it and we had the trade pretty much profitable, right? Signaling that the overall profitability was pretty much with us, right? We have to increase our probabilities of being within the trend, the longer term trend, and kind of joining the overall institutions that are buying this name, right? So overall, this is how overall pros trade, by not chasing and not over trading. Just 1 or 2 great setups a day, executed with the confidence, reminds us that the profitability is possible. SoFi reminds us that when levels are respected and volume comes in, you have to strike. So if you liked this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, as also subscribe to the Uplift Markets newsletter to get these trade setups every single day before the market opens. And as always, stay uplifted and don't let the market flip you guys out. I'll see you guys on the next one.